Look, I started my career when I was in high school, pretty much. That's where we started forming bands and getting interested in music. But I really think my career started as a record player because I fell in love with music big time at my mum's vinyl player. But 30 years down the track, in professional music circles, I still feel like I've got stuff to say, but I still feel like I wouldn't change even the bad things about the last 30 years in my career that got me down or were disappointments or whatever. I think they really help make you as well. So I look back on my time as a musician and it's all been an adventure. And that's all I tell anyone that says, I'm just about to embark on a career in music. Got any advice? I said, just treat every day like an adventure. When you get in the car, it's going to be like something really interesting is going to happen. Well, little Troy was the product of a marriage, only child, single mum, used to use music as a little place to hide every now and then. So my father, being a Maltese immigrant, he was into old rock and roll stuff and Buddy Holly and all that. And he sang quite well. He reckons he used to get drunk at weddings and sing at his rello's weddings. But he was a really good singer, my dad. And so there was little Troy going to visit him, getting that dose of music. But there was the other little Troy sitting at mum's record player. When mum would work on the trains, she would get her pay after a fortnight, and then we'd buy one vinyl record as our treat. And that was the pivotal moment, I think, in my life when I started to play guitar, was sitting down with that vinyl player and going, I feel like I'm just being transported here. I don't know what's going on. I'm in the middle of 100 acres and a little kid of like 9 or 10 when I started playing guitar. And it was a transportation business to me, music. I was just transported anywhere the music was going to take me. The main artists that Mum loved were old American artists like Merle Haggard, Willie Nelson, George Jones, Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson. And then we drifted into all our Australian stuff we loved with Slim Dusty and Rex Dallas, and just people that we loved. And it was always, you never knew what you were going to get each fortnight, because we'd go into the record shop in Grafton and go through the imports first and then go through the ones we wanted to buy that were Australian, and always find something that was going to be a gem. And I still have those records to this day. This is probably my fifth or sixth time playing Port Fairy. My first experience here was mind-blowing, because I came here and played acoustic just with me and my guitar. And I thought, there's a tree that grows out of the ground that is music, but there's these branches that come off, and country and folk are very, very close. They're nearly on the same branch to me. And the storytelling of a lot of the artists that got me in here was really, really important to my love affair with Port Fairy. And so in between the 2 or 3 shows that I did here when I first came, I hung out with Shane Howard for a bit, because I knew him from gigs we'd done before. And he's a bit of a hero of mine, a lot of a hero of mine. And then him showing me around, I think just going to a tent, popping your head in, listening to people's stories, listening to where they come from, whether they're from overseas or from across Australia. It was the start of the love affair. So when Port Fairy would get in touch with us, I would always just try and make things work around the festival. If I was on tour, we'd bend stuff around and say, okay, we're not in Victoria, but we've got to come back from South Australia, but we're going to make this work. So that's how important it is to me. Look, the demographic has always been up and down with Port Fairy, because I've always seen it as being a place where it's for the discerning music lover. It's not for the place that you'd think you'd go along like a blues fest or wherever, where there's the drunk tent over there and then there's this here. But there is something for everyone here now. It's evolved into that, which is great. But there's still all these fold-out chairs at the 2 levels that I was really impressed with when I first came here, because that's just so courteous, right? And the people with the low chairs would go towards the front, and people with the higher chairs would sit towards the back. But it's been the listening that has been the part that's been most important for me. People listen, they engage, they're invested in the songs, they're invested in the stories. And I think it's very hard to not want to come back to experience that. And I warned my band last night. I said, they're a different audience here to what we play to anywhere in Australia. And I think that's the uniqueness of Port Fairy. Yeah. Well, it's actually a banjo. I've got a banjo at home, which is 5 strings. The banjo's got 6. And it did get given to me by the Blue Wiggle, Anthony Field. I just rang him out of the blue and said, how do you rate these Deering Ganjos? Because I'm really keen on one to play on the road. And he said, I'll send you one up. And it arrived, and it was just so beautiful. And it's got such a really different tone to the other instruments that are on stage. So when I toured last year with Between the Fires, I decided there'd be three definite tones on stage. One would be the acoustic guitar, and that's the one I'm most drawn to because that's where it all started. But then there's the electric guitar, and then there's the Ganjo. And we started the set with the Ganjo last night because I just felt we never do, but it was the time to do it. It was like something that I loved to play, one of those old 4-chord songs like a Bob Dylan thing with Easy Chair. And it was one of those really, really wonderful starts to a set that set the tone for me last night. And even though I had a few audio problems, it just went out the window by the third song. And I just went, we're here to enjoy this. The people seem to be milling in nice and slow. And we ended up with a beautiful crowd and an engaged crowd. Oh, look, I think there's a lot more stories to uncover in Australia in our history. And the more I travel, and being at the age I am now too, I think you get a little hungrier for knowledge. When you're in your 50s, I think you really feel like you want to just learn more. So I think more songwriting. I've been writing a song for my cousin at the moment to give him a bit more of a spring in his step to get him out of rehab. He gets out in 6 weeks, and he's had a really rough run. But I wrote a song for him the other day and sent it to him, and it was very confronting for him. But as a songwriter, I think you can actually put yourself in other people's boots when you know them, and do that. So I'm looking for stories. I'm learning from stories. I'm learning from our history, black and white. I think I respect both parts of the history. I think the only way forward for everyone in our country is to respect both sides of our history, to make sure that we're all learning as a one mob of people, and then we can walk forward then learning the same things. And so, yeah, there's a lot of history out there to pick up on, that songs lay there ready to be captured, and I'm ready for that. Yeah, I started busking at 12 when I went to Tamworth, but when I got into that 15, 16-year-old thing, I was probably more interested in chasing girls than busking when I went to Tamworth. But when I got out there and realised the importance of what busking is, it was like wherever you could find a PowerPoint when I was 16, you were able to busk. So we had our little amp, we could plug our vocals in and play acoustically, and it wasn't really loud. But it was such an important part of my development as a musician. It actually gave me a little bit more confidence, because standing on the street with people walking past you really does dent your confidence, because you don't know how they're going to go, whether they'll appreciate what you're doing. And it just taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about the craft of just playing the song for what it is. Having an open suitcase, a guitar case, was confronting as well, because if no one threw any money in, I don't know what I would have done, but they come past and they appreciate the art that you're putting forward. And Roger Knox, the great Roger Knox, we call him Uncle Roger, he came past me when I was 16 or 17 and threw $5 in because I was doing a Merle Haggard song. And then on his way back out of the music shop, he said, "Well done," on the way past. And I was like, I was just so moved, because he's been a hero for a long time. And yeah, that was life-changing, I must say. Look, influences here on the ground for me have been many and varied. Slim was obviously the king, and like I mentioned on stage last night, even when you surpass his record as Golden Guitar winner, he's still the king. Let's just make sure we make that clear. And, Rex Dallas is someone I loved when I was little, because he sang a song called The Coloured Lad and was really ahead of his time with his empathy. And then Roger Knox, someone like him and his family really embraced me. But a lot of the musicians that were around Tamworth when I first moved there, when I was about 20 years old, were all really responsible for encouraging me a lot. They would give you a spare hour in their studio for free, because they knew you had the bum out of your pants. No one was making a lot of money. But if there was a spare hour in a studio to go and put a couple of demos down, it meant the world to me. And it was only years later that I got a chance to get them on my show in Tamworth and thank them. And they're older generation people. Brian Young, but I must say, took me away for 9 months when I was 20. I turned 21 at Mutijulu, at the base of Uluru, and it was the most interesting 21st birthday you could ever imagine. And Brian was a huge influence, because I think he taught us a lot of things musically, but he also taught us to be humble. And his humility was something that he reckons that he got from all the traditional owners that he got to play for. He said, that humility that I carry, he said, it comes from the old people that I know and love out there in the bush. And so we all got a chance to take a piece of that home with us in our hearts when we finished that tour. So yeah, Brian Young for me was probably the biggest champion that I had. While mourning my mum, who's been gone nearly 3 years now, I decided I'd write a song to sort of pay homage to my parents because they're two lighthouses in my life that I miss dearly, and I keep looking for them, but they're not there, of course. So I had to allow myself to have a bad day every now and then when you did fall into a heap over old photos and things. So this tune's called Some Days. It's about that. Some days are better than others. Some days I miss my mother. Some years make me feel like I've lived 10. We get through the Christmas cheer and think of who we lost that year, and the whole damn thing rolls round again. I look in the mirror and all I see is my old man staring back at me every day. 'Cause every time I speak out loud, I only try to make him proud. I think I know just what he'd say. He'd say, some days are better than others. Some friends I see as brothers. Some days you need to talk to other men. If you worry about what people say, you're gonna worry your life away, son. It just ain't worth it in the end. Step by step, I'm still learning. I won't stop till the day I die. Well, I know my spirit is returning, but for a while there I didn't want to try. 'Cause some days are better than others. Some days I really miss my mother. She made me the man I am. If we worry about what people say, we're gonna worry our lives away. It just ain't worth it in the end. Some days are better than others, my friends. Some days are better than others, my friends. See you soon, Port Fairy. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you, guys.